Trump sought to overturn the results of an election, and of a fair election. He sought a coup by misleading people with lies. My father and our neighbors were misled also with lies, and I know where such lies lead. President Trump is a failed leader. He will go down in history as the worst president ever. The good thing is that he soon will be as irrelevant as an old tweet. But what are we to make of those elected officials who have enabled his lies and his...
The ongoing feud between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Donald Trump has just escalated once again. And this time...
President of the United States cut after-school programs and cut from the kids out of their budget $1.2 billion. President Trump promised us that he wants to make America great again. That's not how you make America great. By taking $1.2 billion away from the children and robbing them blind?
Melania Trump is unexpectedly caught in the middle. So, what exactly did Arnold say that has Trump reportedly fuming? And how did this latest war of words take the internet by storm? Let's break it down. The latest round of tension kicked off when Schwarzenegger took aim at one of Trump's key policy moves, cutting $1.2 billion from after-school programs. You don't make America great by pulling resources from children and their education.
President Trump, I just saw your press conference with President Putin, and it was embarrassing. I mean, you stood there like a little wet noodle, like a little fanboy. I mean, I was asking myself, when are you going to ask him for an autograph or for a selfie or something like that? I mean, you literally sold out at this press conference our intelligence community, our justice system, and worst of all, our country. You're the president of the United States. You shouldn't do that.
Schwarzenegger stated, delivering a pointed critique of the former president's decision. If you've been following their long-running spat, you know this rivalry dates back years. Their bad blood can be traced to The Celebrity Apprentice, where Schwarzenegger took over hosting duties after Trump left to focus on his political career. Unhappy with the show's ratings, Trump repeatedly took shots at Arnold, setting off a chain reaction of jabs that have continued to this day.
Made some comparisons of your candidacy in 2003 and Donald Trump's today. What similarities do you see, and what are the differences?
Well, I think that, I don't really study that much of, what is the difference between Donald Trump and my candidacy. I study much more the field polls and USC Schwarzenegger polls that we have just done about what do the people really think.
One of Schwarzenegger's most talked about moments came after Trump's widely criticized press conference with Vladimir Putin. "I just watched that disaster of a press conference," Schwarzenegger said. "You stood there like a fanboy, practically asking for an autograph. You didn't just let yourself down, you let the whole country down." Their battle has played out like a clash of titans, one wielding social media insults, the other sharp-tongued retorts. But throughout it all, one unspoken rule remained. Melania was never a target. Unlike her husband, Melania has largely avoided the political chaos, keeping a low profile behind her signature oversized sunglasses.
It is funny that he uses a prayer breakfast. I think, plus, I have thick skin. I mean, this doesn't bother me at all. And it's very funny, and it gave me an opportunity to then go and shout back and say, that the show didn't do well because, 1/3 of the audience left because they boycott the show because you're the executive producer, Donald Trump. If you would have just not opened up your mouth and tell everybody that you're the executive producer, we would have had really great ratings on the show. But the advertisers left, the audience left. They hate the guy. So they left, and so I was caught in the middle of this political thing there. I said, that's why I said I'm not going to do the show again.
Schwarzenegger's latest remarks seem to have disrupted that balance, pulling her name into the public spectacle in a way that has fans buzzing. When pressed about comparisons between his time in office as California governor and Trump's presidency, Schwarzenegger dodged direct attacks but didn't shy away from the data. His stance? Let the numbers speak for themselves. Of course, this isn't the first time Arnold has brushed off Trump's digs. When the former president mocked his Apprentice ratings, Schwarzenegger fired back. "I can take a joke." But maybe if Trump had kept his name out of it, the ratings wouldn't have tanked. With the internet now feasting on every twist in this ongoing saga, all eyes are on what happens next. Will Trump retaliate?
Saying you're for him You're not saying you're against him. You're trying to stay out of it. I get it. But is that what you're trying to do here? By you not saying anything, you're actually making a statement.
No, not really, because I try to stay focused. Remember, there's one thing that I've learned over the years when I promoted bodybuilding and fitness and my movies and politics and issues and so on, is to stay focused. So today I want to talk about our poll numbers and our polls that we have taken, the field polls that the USC Schwarzenegger Institute released this last week.
Right.
And I want to talk about that because that is really important for the state.
Will Schwarzenegger double down? One thing is clear, this rivalry is far from over. The show's producer had a simple take. The ratings could have soared, but advertisers bailed. Audiences lost interest. They just couldn't stand the guy. Caught in a political whirlwind, he eventually decided it wasn't worth the hassle. And just like that, 2025 delivered a plot twist that felt ripped from a simulation gone rogue. Out of nowhere, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the action icon and former California governor, fired an unexpected shot at the last Trump anyone expected. The internet collectively paused. Wait, did the Terminator just throw shade at Melania Trump? It was the celebrity feud no one saw coming. Yet suddenly, no one could look away. Was it intentional? A random offhand comment? A bizarre misunderstanding? Whatever the case, Schwarzenegger had just set the internet ablaze. The chaos kicked off during what should have been a routine conversation about fitness at 77 and climate advocacy. But somewhere between lifting dumbbells and talking clean energy, things took an unexpected turn. A question about political leadership in 2025 opened the door for a moment no one could have predicted. And then, Arnold dropped the internet-breaking line. "At least I never had to hide behind my wife." Boom. The interviewer let out an awkward chuckle, likely assuming it was just a throwaway remark. But the internet? It was already at full speed. Within minutes, hasta la vista.
A quick question about Donald Trump. He listed his weight at 215 pounds. You are one of the foremost experts on the male physique, bodybuilding, etc. When you size him up, what would you guess that man weighs?
You know, I don't really know how much he weighs. I can tell you one thing, that if you would ask me what should you do for fitness, I would just say run around yourself 3 times. You're going to be in great. There's a blind spot. And that is, every time you talk about America, you're right when you say that our leadership in Washington is a little bit backwards. But you're wrong when you say that America dropped out of the Paris Agreement. Because if you look a little bit beyond Washington, you will see that it is the states and the cities, it's local governments, that control 70% of our.
Melania was trending. Meme accounts went wild. TikTok was flooded with remixes featuring Terminator soundbites. Speculation ran rampant. Was Arnold calling out Melania for her infamous "I don't really care, do you" jacket? Was this some long-delayed revenge for a cold glance at a Hollywood gala? Did she reject his vegan protein brand at Erewhon? Or was Arnold simply bored, gazing at his pet donkey and deciding the world needed a little more drama? And the biggest question of all, was he suggesting that Trump had a habit of using Melania as a deflection shield whenever things got messy? The classic, "ask my wife" escape move? The best part? Arnold didn't explain a thing. He just sat there, wearing that signature smirk, fully aware of the internet wildfire he'd just started. Some argued it was a harmless quip. Others were convinced it was a masterfully subtle takedown wrapped in an Austrian accent. Either way, Schwarzenegger had done the impossible. Made everyone stop and obsess over the most unexpected celebrity clash of the year. The internet went into full meltdown mode when a viral photoshopped image of Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator began circulating. This time, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Free Melania." The result? Absolute chaos. Twitter split into 2 factions. Half of social media praised Arnold as the ultimate savage grandpa who just delivered the year's most unexpected mic drop, while MAGA supporters dusted off their usual "Hollywood elites are out of touch" rhetoric. Somewhere in the frenzy, a conspiracy thread even emerged, theorizing that Arnold was part of a secret Austrian scheme to take over American politics, one protein shake at a time. The whole situation felt surreal, the kind of random celebrity clash 2025 needed to keep people entertained between existential AI crises. If there's one thing Schwarzenegger doesn't do, it's hold back, especially when Donald Trump is involved. Their rivalry has been brewing for years, dating back to when Arnold took over The Apprentice and Trump live-tweeted every ratings dip like a bitter ex. But this time, Arnold didn't just aim at Trump. He fired a shot at Melania. And no one could believe he actually went there. So, why now? Why Melania? If you've been paying attention, the former First Lady, turned luxury handbag influencer, has been re-emerging in the public eye. And as if on cue, an old Trump clip resurfaced. They hired a big movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, to take my place. And we know how that turned out. It was a total disaster. Never bet against Trump again. And I want to pray for Arnold if we can for those ratings. Recently, Melania made a rare public appearance to speak about immigration policy, a moment as ironic as a billionaire giving budgeting tips. Something about her carefully scripted statement must have triggered Arnold, flipping him from motivational YouTuber mode back into full-on Terminator roast mode. But what if this wasn't really about Melania? What if Arnold was making a bigger statement? He spent years preaching about standing up to power, while Melania has built an entire brand around strategic silence. Aloof, detached, untouched by the scandals surrounding her. Her signature move? A polite smile, an occasional cryptic jacket message, and a general air of, I don't care, do you? Maybe, just maybe, Arnold wasn't just calling out Melania. He was calling out silence as a form of privilege. The ability to float above controversy without ever getting your hands dirty. And if there's one thing Arnold can't stand, it's people who sit back while the world burns. Let's be real. The man has survived 7 Terminator movies. You think he's scared of a little rich lady side-eye? Please. And of course, the media couldn't resist throwing one more question his way. Arnold, Trump listed his weight at 215 pounds. As a bodybuilding expert, what do you think? Arnold smirked. I don't know his weight, but if you ask me for fitness advice, I'd just say, run around yourself 3 times, you'll be in great shape. So, was this just a joke? Or was Arnold making a much bigger statement? Either way, he did it in the most Arnold way possible. Arnold Schwarzenegger built his career taking down villains. Donald Trump built his on being one. And Melania? She's perfected the art of watching the chaos unfold, never cracking the polished mask of quiet complicity. But now, thanks to one unexpected jab, she's found herself in the middle of a feud no one saw coming. And suddenly, the internet can't look away. Maybe it's because in a world that feels increasingly off the rails, watching 2 rich men with thick accents throw shade at each other is weirdly therapeutic. At this point, celebrity feuds have become our favorite distraction, a way to channel collective frustration through viral memes and overanalyze Twitter beef. If everything's crumbling anyway, why not enjoy some high-profile pettiness along the way? Now, all eyes are on Melania. Will she break her legendary silence and fire back? Or will she do what she does best? Respond with a cryptic Instagram post, something like, "Silence is the language of the wise," captioned under a perfectly curated floral arrangement? If history tells us anything, it's that her reaction, if she bothers to acknowledge the drama at all, will be subtle, strategic, and just vague enough to fuel another week of speculation. But imagine, just for a second, Melania snapping, logging onto Twitter, throwing out something sharp like, Arnold should stick to action movies. I prefer my heroes without failed political careers. The internet would combust. Meanwhile, the real wild card here is Schwarzenegger. This is the guy who's been delivering savage one-liners since the Terminator days. If anyone is going to escalate, it's him. A single, well-placed clapback, maybe a classic, "I'll be back," with another roast, could send this drama spiraling into another viral frenzy. Let's not forget, this is the man who once called Trump a wet noodle on live television. His brand is basically a walking, talking comeback machine. Naturally, the internet is already manifesting another round of pettiness. TikTok users are convinced Melania's response will come in the form of a pointed Met Gala dress, while meme creators are flooding the timeline with Terminator versus Trump Judgment Day posters. Late-night hosts are practically begging for this to turn into the strangest recurring bit of 2025. But whether Melania makes a move or lets the moment pass, this saga has already secured its place in the never-ending reality show that is American celebrity culture. Because if there's one thing this timeline thrives on, it's watching millionaires throw insults while the rest of us grab popcorn and pretend any of it actually matters.